Zainab's hands were shaking. Not the normal tired shake that came after a long day of massaging bodies and bending over her treatment bed. This was different. This was fear crawling up her spine and squeezing her chest so tightly she could barely breathe. The cotton pad in her hand was damp. Not soaked, not dripping, just damp enough. And yet it felt heavier than anything she had ever carried in her life. She stared at it, her eyes wide, heart pounding so loudly she was sure the woman lying on the bed could hear it. The fan hummed softly above them. The scent of eucalyptus oil hung thick in the air. The client sighed peacefully. Thank you, the woman murmured, eyes still closed. I haven't felt this relaxed in years. Zainab swallowed hard. Her throat burned. Her fingers curled slowly around the cotton pad, as if it might scream if she held it too loosely. Just moments ago, tears had slipped quietly from the woman's eyes, natural tears brought on by the steam and the oils. Tears that should have been wiped away and forgotten. But Zainab didn't forget. She couldn't, because somewhere in the back of her mind a calm voice echoed, smooth, steady, merciless. Do not waste a single drop. Zainab forced herself to smile. You can sit up now, ma, she said, her voice trembling despite her effort to sound calm. The woman sat up slowly, stretching, completely unaware. Zainab turned away quickly, pretending to arrange her products, her heart racing as she slipped the cotton pad into a small nylon bag hidden beneath her shelf. The moment the woman stepped out of the studio, still glowing, still smiling, Zainab locked the door. Her knees gave out. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the cold floor, clutching the nylon bag to her chest. What have I done? She whispered. Her reflection in the cracked mirror stared back at her, eyes wide, skin pale, lips trembling. This wasn't how it started. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. 3 months earlier. Before the money, before the gifts, before the black SUV. Zainab was just another struggling spa therapist in Ogbele village, waking up before sunrise, sweeping akara crumbs from her doorway and praying that today would be different. Ogbele was the kind of place where dreams felt too big for the dusty streets they walked on. A village trying to become a town filled with half-built plazas and hope that never quite reached the rooftops. Her spa was small, painfully small. 1 massage bed, 1 squeaky standing fan, a wooden shelf with oils she rationed like gold. Above her door, a fading sign read, Zainab's Skin and Body Studio. The gold paint was peeling, just like her optimism. Every morning she whispered prayers as she rubbed shea butter into her cracked hands. God, please, let today bring 1 customer. Some days 2 came, some days none. Her landlord never forgot. Zainab, he would say, knocking lightly but firmly, we are reaching month end. I know, sir, please give me small time. She always smiled, even when she went home to sleep hungry, even when dinner was garri soaked in cold water. Her mother called almost every evening. Zaini, have you eaten? Yes, Mama, she lied gently, because how do you tell the woman who prayed you into existence that her prayers were still waiting in traffic? At night, she lay on her thin mattress and imagined a different life. A bigger studio, clean white towels, clients who booked weeks ahead. She didn't know that the door to that life was already opening, and that it would cost her more than money. The rain was falling the evening the black SUV arrived. Zainab was counting her losses for the day when the vehicle stopped outside her shop. The driver stepped out, opened the door, and a woman emerged like she owned the street itself. The woman didn't rush. Her presence shifted the air. She wore a simple wrapper, flat sandals, and confidence that didn't need noise. Good evening, Zainab said, her heart racing. The woman's eyes swept the room slowly. Do you do natural skin treatments? Yes, ma. How much? Zainab answered. The woman smiled faintly. Affordable. She lay down. She closed her eyes, and when Zainab finished, the woman smiled again, this time with satisfaction. "I will return," she said. She returned the next day, and the next, with friends, with money, with gifts. Zainab's life transformed so fast it felt unreal. A new massage bed, a standing air conditioner, a glowing sign that read Zainab Luxury Skin Studio. Rent paid 6 months ahead. Her mother cried tears of joy. "God has remembered you," she said. Zainab believed it. Until the woman came alone. Until she placed the cotton pads on the shelf. Until she said the word tears. And now, Zainab sat on the floor clutching a nylon bag with another woman's tears inside. Outside, the black SUV was already pulling up.
The black SUV idled outside Zainab's studio, its engine humming low and steady, like a beast patiently waiting to be fed. Zainab remained on the floor for several seconds after locking the door, her back pressed against the wall, chest rising and falling too fast. The nylon bag lay in her lap. Inside it, the cotton pad rested quietly, innocent-looking, almost mocking her fear. She wiped her palms on her trousers and forced herself to stand. Her legs felt weak, as though they no longer trusted her decisions. A soft knock came at the door. Not loud, not impatient, controlled. Zainab swallowed and unlocked it. The woman stepped inside without greeting, her eyes going immediately to Zainab's face. Those eyes, sharp, observant, lingered for a moment longer than usual, as if searching for something beneath the skin. "You've started," the woman said calmly. It was not a question. Zainab's lips parted, but no sound came out. She nodded instead, slowly, like a child caught with her hands in fire. The woman extended her hand. Zainab's fingers trembled as she reached under the shelf, pulled out the nylon bag, and placed it gently into the woman's waiting palm. For a brief second, their fingers touched. Zainab flinched. The woman did not. She looked into the bag, inspected the cotton pad, then nodded once, satisfied. "Good," she said softly. "You learn quickly." She reached into her handbag and placed a thick envelope on the shelf. The sound it made, a dull, heavy thud, echoed louder in Zainab's head than it should have. Her eyes dropped to it. She didn't need to open it to know. Money had a smell, and this one smelled like escape. "You did well," the woman continued. "This is only the beginning." Zainab's throat tightened. The woman raised a hand gently. "No explanations. You have chosen." She turned and walked out. The SUV pulled away. Silence rushed back into the room. Zainab stared at the envelope for a long time before touching it. When she finally did, her fingers felt numb. She opened it. Her breath caught. Neatly stacked bundles of crisp notes stared back at her. More money than she had ever held at once. Her heart pounded, not with joy, but with something closer to panic. She pressed the envelope to her chest and sank onto the massage bed. "I did it," she whispered. The words did not sound victorious. They sounded like a confession. That night, Zainab could not sleep. She lay on her mattress, staring at the ceiling, the envelope tucked beneath her pillow like a secret too dangerous to leave unattended. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the cotton pad. Damp, white, heavy. Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother. "Zaini, landlord came today to greet me. He said you are doing very well. God bless you, my daughter." Zainab swallowed hard. She typed back, "Amen, Mama." Her fingers hovered over the screen, then added, "I'll send money tomorrow." She turned the phone face down and squeezed her eyes shut. Sleep came late and shallow. The next morning, Zainab scrubbed her studio harder than usual. She washed towels twice, rearranged bottles that were already neat, avoided looking at the sealed pack of cotton pads on the shelf. By midday, her first client arrived, a young woman with bright lipstick and restless energy. Please, I want full glow treatment, she said cheerfully. I have a photo shoot. Zainab smiled automatically. Of course, please lie down. As she walked, her hands moved on instinct, but her mind was elsewhere. She watched the woman's face too closely, just a little. Zainab's froze. Her heart slammed against her ribs. This was it again. Her gaze flicked to the shelf. The cotton pads waited. Her hand reached for tissue instead, fast, instinctive, and dabbed lightly as she had always done. The tears disappeared. Relief washed over her so strongly her knees nearly buckled. By the end of the session, the woman jumped up happily. I look amazing. Zainab smiled, weakly. The woman paid and left. Zainab stood alone in the studio, breathing hard, staring at the untouched cotton pads. Her phone rang. The woman's name lit up the screen. Zainab's heart dropped into her stomach. She answered, Ma, I trust you have started properly today. Zainab hesitated. It didn't happen. Silence. Then a soft laugh. You wiped them away. Zainab felt cold. Yes, ma. The woman sighed. Zainab, sentiment is expensive and it does not pay rent. Her voice hardened. Tomorrow you will do it correctly. The call ended. Zainab stared at the phone long after the screen went dark. That night, the voices began. At first, they were faint, like whispers slipping through the cracks of the walls. Return what you took. Zainab sat up, heart racing. Hello? She whispered. Nothing. She lay back down, pulling the blanket tighter around herself. Then she heard it again, clearer this time. Return my tears. She jumped up, breath caught in her throat, eyes scanning the dark room. There was nothing there. No one. She didn't sleep again. The next day, another client arrived, a married woman, quiet, tired-looking, with sadness sitting heavily in her eyes. I just want to feel like myself again, the woman said softly. Zainab nodded. As she walked, she felt the familiar rise of warmth, the steam, the oils. The woman's eyes watered, more this time. Zainab's chest tightened. Her hand hovered in the air. Tissue? Cotton pad. Tissue? Cotton pad. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. God has remembered you. The landlord's bow. The envelope under her pillow. Slowly, painfully, Zainab picked up a cotton pad. Her hand shook so badly she almost dropped it. She pressed it gently beneath the woman's eye. The moisture spread, blooming like a stain. Zainab's breath hitched. She felt something snap inside her. By the time the session ended, the cotton pad was damp and heavy. The woman smiled brightly at her reflection. You have magic hands, she said. Zainab forced a smile. When the door closed behind her, Zainab locked it and leaned against it, sliding down until she was sitting on the floor again. She stared at the cotton pad. It looked harmless, but her chest ached like she had stolen something alive. That night, the SUV came again. The woman took the pad. Another envelope appeared, thicker, heavier. Very good, she said. Soon you won't even hesitate. Zainab wanted to scream. Instead, she nodded. Weeks passed. The money flowed. So did the tears. Bundles hid beneath her mattress. New clothes filled her wardrobe. Her mother's rent was paid in advance. But Zainab's sleep disappeared. The voices grew louder. Return what you took. I can't rest. My eyes burn. Her weight dropped. Her assistant began to stare at her with concern. Madam, are you sick? Zainab snapped too quickly. Then came the complaints. One woman stormed into the studio, eyes red. Since you touched my face, I cry every night. Another called, voice shaking. My business collapsed after your treatment. Rumors spread. People whispered. And at night, the voices screamed. Zainab stood in her studio one evening, surrounded by money, gifts, luxury, and felt poorer than she had ever been. Her reflection stared back at her. She did not recognize herself. Outside, the black SUV approached again. And for the first time, Zainab realized something terrifying. This was no longer about money. It never was.
The night the screaming started,
Zainab knew there would be no turning back. She woke up gasping, her chest tight as though invisible hands had wrapped themselves around her ribs. The room was dark, but the air felt thick, heavy with a presence that made her skin prickle. Then she heard it. Not whispers this time. Crying. Low at first. Broken. Ragged. Zainab sat upright, clutching her blanket to her chest, eyes darting wildly around the room. "Who's there?" she whispered. The crying stopped. Silence pressed in so hard her ears rang. She exhaled shakily, convincing herself it was just another nightmare brought on by stress and sleeplessness. She lay back down slowly, closing her eyes. "Why did you take it?" Zainab screamed. She bolted upright, heart hammering as the voice echoed clearly inside the room. It wasn't coming from the walls, it wasn't coming from outside, it was coming from everywhere. "Please," she sobbed. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." The voice replied, overlapping with others now, many voices, layered and uneven. "You smiled while you took it. You counted the money. You slept while we cried." Zainab covered her ears, rocking back and forth, tears streaming down her face. "I was desperate. I was hungry. I was tired of suffering." The voices laughed then, not cruelly, but bitterly. So were we. By morning, Zainab's eyes were swollen and bloodshot. She stared at herself in the mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. Her cheeks had hollowed, her skin looked dull despite the expensive creams lining her shelf. Her assistant, Halima, noticed immediately. "Madam, are you sure you're okay?" Zainab forced a smile. "I didn't sleep well." Halima frowned but said nothing. The day's first client arrived, an elderly woman with tired eyes and shaking hands. As Zainab worked, the room felt colder than usual. The oils smelled sharper. The air felt tense. When the woman's eyes watered, her hand froze mid-air. Her chest tightened. She heard the whisper again, right behind her ear. "Don't take it." Her hand dropped. She wiped the tears away with tissue instead. Relief washed over her, warm and brief. That night, the black SUV did not come. Her phone rang instead. "You disobeyed," the woman said calmly. Zainab's knees weakened. "I couldn't. They're suffering." The woman sighed. "And so will you if you continue to forget where your fortune comes from." The call ended. From that night on, the studio began to die. Clients stopped booking. Appointments cancelled without explanation. Those who came complained. "My husband says I scream in my sleep. My skin burns at night. I feel empty." The rumors returned, stronger this time. "Don't go there. That spa steals something." The glowing sign flickered. The air conditioner broke. The assistant quit without notice. At night, the crying grew unbearable. Zainab stopped sleeping entirely. She began to see shadows move at the edges of her vision. She smelled eucalyptus even when there were no oils open. She felt fingers brush her face when no one was there. One night, she collapsed on her studio floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "I can't do this anymore. Please, take it back." The voices answered in unison. "Tell the truth." Her chest heaved. "Expose her." Zainab knew exactly who they meant. The next morning, she woke with a clarity that felt like pain. She opened her phone. She went live. Her hands shook violently as the camera faced her hollow eyes. "My name is Zainab. I own Zainab Luxury Skin Studio, and I have done something terrible." People joined quickly. Her heart pounded as she spoke about the woman, the cotton pads, the tears, the money. She cried openly. "I betrayed my clients. I stole something that wasn't mine." The internet exploded. Comments flooded in, anger, shock, disbelief. Within hours, the woman stopped calling. Her number became unreachable. The black SUV never returned. Some said the woman fled the country. Others whispered darker things. Zainab didn't care. Her studio shut down days later. Her landlord took the keys. Her sign was removed.
Neighbors stared. Her mother cried. But at night, the voices softened. The crying faded. The room grew quiet. Zainab lay on her mattress, thin, broken, but breathing freely for the first time in months. She had lost everything except herself.
The first night after Zainab's confession, the silence felt unnatural. No whispers, no crying, no voices crawling out of the dark corners of her room. Just silence. Zainab lay awake on her thin mattress, staring at the ceiling, waiting for something, anything to break it. Her body was exhausted, but her mind refused to rest. For months, sleep had been a battlefield. Now that the war had ended, her body didn't know how to stand down. She turned slowly on her side and listened. Nothing. Her chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. A strange ache settled there, not fear, not guilt, but grief. Grief for the life she had almost built. Grief for the version of herself that believed suffering justified compromise. When dawn came, it arrived quietly, sliding pale light across the floor of her small room. Zainab sat up slowly, bones aching, joints stiff. She caught her reflection in the cracked mirror across the room. She looked older. Not just thinner, older, like someone who had carried too much for too long. She touched her face gently, half expecting it to flinch. It didn't. For the first time in months, her hands were steady. Word of her confession spread fast. Ogwele was not a big place. Stories moved faster than truth, and shame moved fastest of all. Some people cursed her openly. That girl is wicked. She collected people's suffering for money. Others pitied her. She was desperate. She was used. But pity didn't reopen doors. Her studio was gone. The plaza felt different now, empty like it had rejected her presence. Zainab avoided that street entirely. When she passed former clients in the market, some turned away, some stared, a few spat on the ground beside her. One afternoon, she heard her mother crying. Not on the phone, in real life. She had come to Obeli without warning. Zainab opened her door and froze. Her mother stood there, eyes swollen, wrapper loose around her waist. "Mama," Zainab whispered. Her mother stepped inside slowly, as if the walls might judge her too. She sat on the edge of the bed and looked at her daughter for a long time without speaking. "Why?" her mother finally asked, voice breaking. Zainab knelt in front of her. "I was tired," she said softly. "I was afraid. I didn't want to be a burden anymore." Her mother began to cry. Not loud, not dramatic, just deep, shaking sobs that tore at Zainab's chest. "My daughter," she whispered, "we were poor, yes, but we slept at night." Zainab broke. She pressed her forehead to her mother's knees and cried until her chest hurt, until there was nothing left to hold inside. When her mother left 2 days later, she hugged Zainab tightly. "You did wrong," she said gently, "but you told the truth. That is not nothing." The weeks that followed were quiet, too quiet. Zainab found small jobs cleaning houses, washing clothes, helping at a neighbor's food stall. Her hands were rough again, but they were clean. At night she slept, not deeply, not peacefully, but she slept. One evening, as she closed her eyes, she felt something warm on her cheek, a tear. Her own. She wiped it away with the back of her hand, and for the first time, she did not feel afraid. Somewhere far away, people whispered about the woman in the black SUV. Some said she had vanished into thin air. Others claimed her mansion was found empty, walls stained with dried white marks that no one could explain. No one ever confirmed anything. Ogwele moved on. Stories always do. But Zainab did not forget. She began speaking quietly to young women whenever she could, at the market, at church, at the water tap. Not every open door is a blessing, she would say. Not every helper comes to help. Some listened, some laughed, but a few heard her, and sometimes that was enough. Years later, when someone mentioned the spa that once stood at the edge of the plaza, people still shook their heads. They say women left glowing, someone would say. Yes, another would reply, but none of them stayed the same. Zainab never returned to that street. But on quiet nights, when the village slept and the wind moved softly through Willie, she would sit outside her room and breathe deeply. Free. Not rich, not celebrated, but free. And in that freedom, she found something greater than all the money she had once held in her hands. She found herself. Final moral. Not every gift is a blessing. Some opportunities arrive wrapped in gold but rooted in darkness. What you gain through the suffering of others will always return to you with interest. Choose honest struggle over cursed success. Guard your soul, because once sold, no amount of money can buy it back.
Zainab's story shows us that some opportunities come with hidden chains. If you believe stories like this matter, like and subscribe to support this channel. And comment below, what would you have done in her place?